Venezuela is a South African country that has oil as the main economic activity and also gains profit from telecommunication, from agriculture, and from tourism. This country has been in a crisis called economic war since 2014 and has been worsened since 2017. This happened during the government of President Nicolas Maduro. However, Venezuela's worsening situation has caused some Venezuelan officials to commit bribery and money laundering. Generally, inflation may also be among the most well-known terms in economics. Often, central bankers want to be regarded as inflation hawks. Politicians also have pledged to fight inflation in order to win elections, but they have since lost those pledges. Up until now, any wide investigation into the ongoing challenges facing the industrial economics has naturally focused on inflation. What then actually is inflation? In this part, we will answer the previous question, which is what is actually inflation? In economics, inflation can be defined as a continuous or a constant rise in the average or total price in level of goods and services in the economy. It implies a rise in living expenses that result in decreased purchasing power. According to about 2005, inflation happens as price of various goods and services increase over the time. However, it can also be determined more precisely for a few goods such as food or specific services such as haircuts. Inflation, in any case, is the measure of the increase in the cost of the relevant set of products and or services over a given time frame, usually a year.
For measurement, Consumer Price Index (CPI) data covering several months or years is used to measure inflation. The CPI measures variation in the average cost of consumer goods and services. Thus, its other name, the Cost of Living Index. This cost can increase or decrease. An increase is referred to as inflation and a reduction as deflation. As a result, CPI will inform you of the changes to the value of the money you own. Calculating the CPI involves 4 stages. Step 1 is selecting a base year that everything gets compared to. This is the reference base year serving as the standard by which previous years are measured. Step 2 is selecting the CPI basket of goods and services. To create a CPI, the Bureau of Statistics will select a fixed representative basket of typical household consumption items and services such as food, clothing, furniture, shelter, healthcare, transportation, and entertainment. Step 3 is conducting the monthly prices survey of selected goods. The Bureau of Statistics is going to examine some goods costs from sources that are trustworthy, in order to gather information on the cost of the thousands of chosen products that are used to track and assess changes in the CPI. Economic assistants will visit or call thousands of retail business, service providers, and rental properties around the nation. For the last one is giving weightage of relative importance for each category of goods and services. Depending on how much the customer spends, weight is utilized to determine the relative relevance of the products in the CPI basket.
First, demand pull inflation. Demand pull inflation refers to a macroeconomic occurrence when there is a continuous rise in the overall price level of products and services. This kind of inflation arises when the total demand for goods and services in any economy surpasses its whole supply. Essentially, demand pull inflation arises from the interplay between supply and demand in an economy. When there is a higher demand for products and services, then the economy can provide prices tend to increase. There are many implications of demand pull inflation can be included. First, rising prices. Goods and services prices rise immediately due to demand pull inflation. This reduces customers' capacity to purchase the same things with their income. Second, ambiguities. Businesses may confront cost and demand uncertainties. Rapid price changes may make it hard for enterprise to plan and invest, resulting in economic inefficiencies. Next, cost-push inflation. Cost-push inflation refers to a macroeconomic occurrence when there is a continuous rise in the overall price level of products and services. Cost-push inflation arises when there is a significant increase in production costs, in contrast to demand-pull inflation, which is caused by increased consumer demand. Cost-push inflation is mostly caused by a significant rise in manufacturing costs, such as labor, raw materials, or energy. These price hikes might be prompted by several circumstances, such as an abrupt surge in salaries, geopolitical incidents impacting the availability of raw materials, or surge in energy costs. Monetary inflation. Monetary inflation refers to a macroeconomic occurrence where there is a continuous rise in the general price level of goods and services. This is largely caused by the growth of the money supply. The occurrence of monetary inflation is primarily associated with the expansion of the money supply in an economy. Various factors may contribute to an expansion in the money supply, such as policies implemented by the central bank, fiscal measures taken by the government, and alterations in banking practices. In situations where there is an abundance of money in the economy, people and companies engage in competition for a relatively stable quantity of products and services, resulting in a rise in prices.
Next, there are some effects of inflation in Venezuela. First, economic deterioration. Venezuela has experienced hyperinflation, which it reached unprecedented levels in recent years. The bolivar, the country's currency, has lost value due to the sharp price increases, which is it has the weakness in the economy. The purchasing power of people and businesses decreased as inflation exploded, which is it had an effect on investment, consumption, and general economic stability. Therefore, when the average level of prices for goods and services in an economy increases over time, the inflation-related economic decline may be affected. Second, impact on saving and financial planning. Hyperinflation environment may make it difficult for financial institutions to offer stable financial services. This may result in a decrease in trust in the banking industry, which it will cause of the usage of alternative assets or modes of payment to increase. The last one is poverty and income inequality. Low income inequality are typically heavily impacted by inflation. The increasing prices for products and services have the potential to force individuals into poverty and increase economic inequality. Due to hyperinflation, the number of people living in poverty in Venezuela has significantly increased, with many finding it difficult to pay for needs like food and medical care. Why hyperinflation happened in Venezuela? Hyperinflation in Venezuela occurred due to a combination of factors, primarily involving the excessive printing of money by the central bank and weak economic policies, such as price restriction, nationalization of enterprises, and excessive government spending. The government created a large fiscal deficit by printing money, borrowing money, and using it to pay for its expenditures. In order to finance its budget deficit, the Venezuelan government used reckless monetary policies, which is, it include printing massive quantities of money.
Discussion of the inflation problem in Venezuela. What is actually happened in Venezuela? In Venezuela, there happened to be a crisis. Global attention and humanitarian aid. Venezuela's situation has attracted the world attention as crime rate increasing, particularly murder cases causing economic transition activity to stop. Corruption within the government. Within the Venezuelan government, rumors regarding corruption stated it has already reached from law enforcement officials to high-ranking politicians, causing the appearance of black economy for several decades. Reports suggest that ungrounded law enforcement officials, including military personnel, are detained for obstructing criminal organizations, garnering public support for the government. In the 2000th century, corruption fueled social service expansion, coupled with the falling oil prices, increased government debt. The 2009 till 2010 takeover of bank aimed to address financial issues but raised concern about inflation. Between 2012 and 2013, Venezuela faced a severe economic downturn as oil revenue plummeted by 93% and per capita income declined by 72%, pushing the country toward collapse. Between 2015 and 2023, 7 million Venezuelans left due to the distrust in the government, collusion with criminal organizations, and fear of becoming the victim of crime, highlighting the severity of the crisis. Types of inflation happening in Venezuela. Venezuela are facing monetary inflation driven by the control of money exchange activity by criminal organizations. The activity consists of excessive money printing, black economy, and a lot of untraceable aid. Usually, when facing economic difficulty, the government opted to distribute funds widely to the citizens to stimulate economic growth. Unfortunately, this strategy resulted in significant inflation and the devaluation of the currency. Moreover, the government illegal money printing eroded trust from the global bank, exacerbating the decline in the currency value. Declaration of economic collapse. Venezuela's historical prosperity reliant on abundant oil resources suffered under Maduro rule due to neglect of the agricultural sector, emphasizing an over-reliance on oil. Venezuela's economic collapse driven by a 96% reliance on oil export, saw plummeting oil price leading to hyperinflation. The currency could not sustain importing essential products, causing food and dairy shortage. Hyperinflation impact. Hyperinflation in Venezuela persisted for 4 years, leading to widespread starvation and injustice among the population. The economic crisis in Venezuela sparked political unrest, leading to opposition force initiating Operation Gideon to overthrow Maduro. This operation, deemed fabricated by public opinion, eroded diplomatic trust and fueled civilian protests, branding Maduro as an autocrat and dictator. The conflict in Venezuela severely impacted its economy, leading to lost GDP, reduced workforce, infrastructure damage, increased national debts, and potential future tax hike. The economy will also incur opportunity costs, manifesting as decline in healthcare, inflation, and unemployment. Economic hardship led Venezuelans to immigrate to countries like Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, and Chile, causing a refugee crisis in Latin America and the Caribbean. This mass exodus has contributed to a sluggish currency exchange and decline in Venezuela's GDP. Before Maduro rule, Chavez led Venezuela to economic prosperity, effectively handling huge debt. No reported corruption, GDP soared. Trouble began under Maduro, with a surge in criminal activity, creating economic disparity, a slow exchange, food crisis, security issues, inflation, and decreased local support. Chavez's positive leadership contrasted sharply with the challenge that emerged during Maduro's tenure.
In conclusion, turning our attention to the specific case of Venezuela, the country has been grappling with hyperinflation that is posing severe challenges to its economy and social fabric. The nation seeks solutions to address its inflation problem. It underscores the importance of economic policies, fiscal discipline, and international cooperation. Thus, understanding and managing inflation is crucial for sustaining a stable and prosperous economy from cases like Venezuela. That's all.